A red carpet on the South Lawn and a president determined to max out the pageantry for a crown prince. The biggest horses, the most Hollywood of fanfares. For Mohammed bin Salman, the man the last president called a pariah no more. President Trump inviting him to look up for the flypast at the F-35s he covets and has now been promised. Then the scenic route to the Oval Office along Trump's newly installed gilded presidential walk of fame. An auto pen standing in for President Biden to represent Trump's view of a diminished leader unaware of what was done in his name. 4 years ago, a US intelligence assessment made a very different determination about the murder of the journalist and dissident Jamal Khashoggi in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, saying the Crown Prince had, personally, signed off on his capture or killing.
I'm very proud of the job he's done. What he's done is incredible in terms of human rights and everything else.
But MBS's first visit to the US since the Khashoggi murder also meant an encounter with a free press.
And Your Royal Highness, the US intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
It's just you ask Mr. President
Please,
about the journalists. It's really painful to hear, anyone that been losing his life for, no real purpose or nothing illegal way, and it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia. We've did all the right steps of investigation, etc., in Saudi Arabia, and we've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that, and it's painful and it's a huge mistake, and we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
The F-35 Lightning II delivers.
At its heart, though, this meeting about big deals. For years, Saudi Arabia has been denied US F-35 warplanes. Just this month, the Pentagon reportedly raised concerns about China accessing their technology if Saudi were allowed to buy them. It's also always been US policy to ensure that Israel, with its F-35s, has a military edge in the region.
This is a great ally, and Israel's a great ally. And I know they'd like you to get planes of reduced caliber. I don't think that makes you too happy. They've been a great ally. Israel's been a great ally. And we're looking at that exactly right now. But as far as I'm concerned, I think they are both at a level where they should get top of the line.
President Trump non-committal, though, when asked about a formal security guarantee for Saudi Arabia, something that the Biden administration had offered only in return for a Saudi-Israeli normalization deal. Last night, the UN Security Council approved Trump's Gaza plan, including only a vague aspiration towards a Palestinian state. Saudi Arabia wants more than that before it joins the Abraham Accord countries who've recognized Israel.
We believe having a good relation with all Middle Eastern countries is a good thing. And we want to be part of the Abraham Accord, but we want also to be sure that we secure a clear path of two-state solution. And today we have a healthy discussion with Mr. President that we're going to work on that to be sure that we can prepare the right situation as soon as possible to have that.
Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia earlier this year produced, he said, hundreds of billions of dollars of Saudi investment for the US. Plenty of money on the table, too, for the Trump Organization, the envisioned Trump Tower in Jeddah, just one of many deals underway. Trump denying any conflict of interest as he cajoled his honored guest into stumping up just a few extra $100 billion.
And I want to thank you because you've agreed to invest $600 billion into the United States. And because he's my friend, he might make it $1 trillion, but I'm going to have to work on him.
Not too hard, it seems. The Saudi Crown Prince all but confirming the investment as his host tried to convince a domestic audience of the economic bounties to come.
Harry Fawcett reporting. Well, late yesterday I spoke with Hanan Khashoggi, the widow of the murdered journalist Jamal Khashoggi. I started by asking her whether the pain of his killing 7 years ago was still raw.
Yes, it's 7 years of hell. Yeah, 7 years.
7 years of hell.
Of hell, yes, yes. Every day, when I see the daylight, I'm wondering why I'm still alive, because basically I'm the second alive victim after Jamal Khashoggi.
Mohammed bin Salman, the man who ultimately was held responsible by US intelligence for ordering the death of your late husband, will be not just coming to Washington tomorrow, he'll be celebrated by the current president. What does that make you feel?
I have a mixed feeling. First of all, if Jamal here, he will feel very happy because he wanted his country to have a good relation with the rest of the world, especially USA. It is very vital relation for Saudi Arabia. But in another side, I feel pain, somehow Jamal been forgotten.
There's going to be a lot of business between Washington and Riyadh, between Saudi Arabia and the United States. Do you think that that is just much more important now, business relations, money, than anything else between these two countries?
That make me feel sore. Everybody focus only in money and the business deal, economic deal, selling weapon and art or sport deal. It's also, there is a human side missing there, which is the legacy of Jamal and justice for Jamal and justice for me as well. And there is a lot of political prisoners still in jail for many years. One of them, unfortunately, it's my Saudi lawyer, just because he got my case. He been banished and he's in jail now for 3 years. I don't know anything about him.
You want him obviously to be released and the other prisoners as well?
Absolutely, especially Assam al-Zaman, the close friend of Jamal.
Finally, do you think Saudi Arabia can ever truly be a modern country, despite all the improvements, despite the money, if it treats its critics the way that your husband was treated?
No, if they continue the way, it will not. If they continue the way ideology, it will not. But they need to change. They need to have some tolerance there.
Hanan Khashoggi, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Bad.
Oh.
I don't have a life. I don't have a life after I lost him. 7 years I've been isolated. I'm hardly talking to anyone. Only my first family, my lawyer. My lawyer, she support me. She hired me for 1.5 years. I live in fear. I know I can be assassinated at any time.
You really think
absolutely, because they need to close this file. And I'm the only one speaking up. I'm the only one carries the secret from Jamal Khashoggi.
And just to add, we did ask Hanan Khashoggi whether she wanted us to use her reaction to our interview, and she urged us to do so. Well, joining me now is the former US Special Envoy for Middle Eastern Humanitarian Affairs, Ambassador David Satterfield. He's now the director of Rice University's Baker Institute for Public Policy. Ambassador Satterfield, thank you very much for coming on the program. When you see Donald Trump with his guest Mohammed bin Salman brushing away questions about Jamal Khashoggi, almost showing off in front of the Saudi Crown Prince, what goes through your mind?
What goes through my mind is the same thoughts that went through my and other minds when Joe Biden did his fist bump with Mohammed bin Salman during his administration. And that is to say a recognition of the fundamental and critical importance of a strategic relationship with Saudi Arabia. With all of the appropriate condemnation for the horror of the crime conducted against Jamal Khashoggi, the United States, its partners and allies, the Middle East as a whole, have a fundamental requirement for a strong relationship between the United States, Saudi Arabia, and its de facto leader.
Okay, but you can still condemn the murder of a journalist, can't you? And you can still, pay homage to his widow or express some kind of sympathy. Right. Okay, so let's get on to the actual deal. I mean, they did talk. So Mohammed bin Salman did broach the subject of a Palestinian state, of self-determination. Was there anything that you heard today that makes you think that concrete steps have actually taken place further towards some kind of Palestinian state? Or was that just still pie in the sky?
Nothing I heard today was a surprise. The Saudis have been very clear, Mohammed bin Salman has been very clear throughout the 2 years of the Gaza conflict that he continues to want both a bilateral arrangement with the United States to deal with a variety of critical strategic issues, energy, AI, China, questions of hydrocarbon production, nuclear energy, but that he requires a confirmation, a commitment by the government of Israel to progress on a path, a roadway, to an agreed permanent status resolution with the Palestinians, without which he is not prepared to enter into normalization, no matter what other aspects of the deal are present.
Right. And considering the fact that Donald Trump so badly wants Saudi Arabia to be part of the Abraham Accords, and also knowing that he's already put pressure on Israel on another matter, do you think he'll do so again in order to get the Israelis in line, or is that beyond his scope?
I think at this moment in time, this year, with the conflict in Gaza only partially resolved and only very recently ended in terms of the Israeli ground campaign, with many questions still to be addressed regarding Hamas, regarding Israeli intentions in Gaza, this is not the moment for a normalization step, but it is absolutely the moment to keep alive the possibility of normalization. That's a very important step for the region, for Saudi Arabia, and for Israel, as well as the United States. And Mohammed bin Salman's not walking away from it, but not at this moment.
Right. But even some of the most basic things that were envisaged by the Stability Pact for Gaza, like, foreign troops on the ground in Gaza, the disarmament of Hamas, none of that has happened yet.
It hasn't happened because Hamas will not disarm itself. And there is no entity externally, no international stabilization force that is going to put boots on the ground to compel them to disarm. This is the paradox of the present situation. You have Hamas in control of the vast majority of Gaza's 2 million population in an armed form. You have Israel on the other side of the yellow line in an area of Gaza which has very little, if any, population remaining and very little above ground structures. How do you move beyond this division, which is not good for Israel or Israelis, not good for the region, to something that looks like realization of that 20-point plan? That is the key question right now. And Saudi's role in this is going to be very important.
Ambassador Satterfield, thank you very much indeed.